Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Before your thumb moves and before you scroll to the next video, pause for a moment. If your heart feels tired, confused or heavy right now, this message might be exactly what Allah wanted you to hear today. Listen carefully, because this hadith carries deep comfort for struggling hearts. This hadith immediately changes how a believer views life. The Prophet did not say that everything feels good for the believer. He said everything is good. That means even pain carries benefit, even loss hides wisdom, and even hardship contains mercy. This hadith teaches that a believer's life is not judged by comfort, but by outcome. What looks like damage today may be protection tomorrow. What feels like delay may be preparation. Allah designs events not to please your emotions, but to save your soul. This understanding transforms suffering into meaning. The hadith continues by explaining that when something good happens, the believer is grateful, and that gratitude itself becomes good. Gratitude protects blessings. It prevents arrogance and keeps the heart humble. Many people receive blessings, but lose peace because they forget Allah. The believer, however, ties blessings back to Allah. This hadith teaches that gratitude is not just saying Alhamdulillah, it is recognizing that every good comes from Allah and can be taken away. Gratitude keeps the heart soft and connected, even during ease. The hadith also explains that when hardship strikes, the believer is patient, and that patience becomes good as well. Patience is not silence without pain, it is endurance with trust. The believer feels pain, but does not lose faith. This hadith teaches that hardship is not proof of Allah's anger. It is often proof of Allah's care. Through hardship, sins are erased, hearts are purified, and ranks are raised. The believer's patience turns pain into worship, making even tears meaningful in the sight of Allah. This hadith reveals a secret advantage of faith. Two people may experience the same hardship. One is broken, the other is elevated. The difference is belief. The believer knows that nothing happens randomly. Allah is always present, always aware, always just. This belief gives strength when answers are unclear. This hadith teaches that faith does not remove difficulty. It gives you the tools to survive it without losing yourself. The believer grows through trials instead of being destroyed by them. This hadith also corrects unrealistic expectations. The believer does not expect life to be easy. They expect life to be meaningful. Ease without faith can destroy a person, while hardship with faith can save them. This hadith teaches balance, gratitude in ease, patience in difficulty. Both states bring reward. This understanding frees the believer from constant disappointment. Life no longer feels unfair, it feels purposeful. Every situation becomes an opportunity to draw closer to Allah. This hadith also teaches emotional stability. Many people collapse when life changes suddenly because their happiness depends on circumstances. The believer, however, remains grounded because faith anchors the heart. When something good happens, the believer does not become arrogant. When something bad happens, the believer does not lose hope. This hadith teaches that stability comes from knowing Allah is in control. Life goes up and down, but Allah remains constant. This belief protects the heart from extreme reactions and keeps faith steady even when emotions fluctuate. This hadith explains why believers recover faster from pain. Pain still hurts, tears still fall, but the believer does not stay broken forever. Why? Because they believe pain has purpose. This belief gives strength to stand again. The believer understands that Allah would never allow something meaningless to touch their life. Every hardship carries wisdom, even if it is hidden for years. This hadith teaches resilience, faith that bends but does not break. The believer rises because trust in Allah fuels the soul. The hadith also teaches contentment. Contentment does not mean having everything you want, it means trusting what Allah chose for you. Many people chase happiness endlessly because they believe happiness lies in control. The believer finds peace in surrender. This hadith teaches that acceptance is not weakness, it is wisdom. When you accept Allah's decree, your heart stops fighting reality. Instead of asking, why me? You begin asking, what does Allah want me to learn? That shift brings calm. This hadith also prepares believers for uncertainty. The future often feels scary because it is unknown, but for the believer, uncertainty is softened by trust. If everything that happens is good, then even the unknown is safe. This hadith teaches that Allah's care does not pause in uncertain times. The believer walks forward without seeing the full path, trusting that Allah sees it completely. This confidence reduces anxiety and strengthens reliance on Allah. Finally, this hadith teaches gratitude and patience as lifelong companions. Life will never stay in one state. Sometimes you will receive, sometimes you will lose. The believer is prepared for both. Gratitude protects blessings. Patience protects faith. This hadith shows that both states bring reward, meaning no moment of a believer's life is wasted. Even suffering becomes valuable. This realization transforms how the believer lives, calm in ease, strong in hardship, and hopeful always. This hadith also teaches emotional maturity. Many people react to life instantly, driven by impulse and emotion. The believer learns to pause, reflect, and trust Allah's wisdom before reacting. When something unexpected happens, the believer remembers that Allah already knows the ending. This awareness slows anger, reduces panic, and brings clarity. Emotional maturity is not about hiding feelings, it is about guiding them with faith. This hadith teaches that faith gives control over emotions instead of letting emotions control faith. This hadith changes how a believer views failure. Failure is not the end, it is a lesson wrapped in pain. The believer understands that Allah sometimes allows failure to redirect the heart, protect the future, or humble the soul. What feels like loss today may become the reason for success tomorrow. This hadith teaches that failure only destroys those who lose trust. For the believer, failure refines character and strengthens reliance on Allah, turning disappointment into development. The hadith also teaches mental peace. When you believe that everything carries goodness, overthinking reduces. The believer no longer replays the past endlessly or fears the future excessively. Allah's decree becomes a place of rest, not anxiety. This hadith teaches that mental peace comes from surrender, not control. When the mind accepts Allah's wisdom, it stops fighting reality. That acceptance frees the believer from constant worry and emotional exhaustion. This hadith strengthens the believer during long tests. Some trials end quickly, others last for years. During long tests, patience becomes heavy. This hadith reminds the believer that long tests often bring greater reward. Allah measures endurance, not speed. The believer learns to trust Allah even when progress feels slow. This hadith teaches that Allah is working even when nothing seems to change. Silent growth is still growth. This hadith also teaches gratitude during small blessings. Many people wait for big changes to feel thankful. The believer learns to notice small mercies, safety, breath, moments of calm. Gratitude multiplies blessings because it keeps the heart connected to Allah. This hadith teaches that gratitude is a shield against bitterness. A grateful heart finds light even in dark moments because it recognizes Allah's kindness in subtle ways. This hadith prepares the believer for criticism and misunderstanding. People may judge your choices without knowing your struggles. The believer understands that approval from people is temporary, but Allah's approval is eternal. This hadith teaches that pleasing Allah brings inner peace even when people disagree. The believer learns to stand firm without becoming bitter. Faith gives strength to walk alone if necessary, trusting that Allah sees intentions clearly. This hadith also teaches compassion toward others. When you understand that every believer is tested differently, judgment softens. You realize that ease and hardship are both tests. This understanding builds empathy and patience. The believer learns to support rather than criticize, to listen rather than accuse. Allah loves hearts that show mercy because they understand how fragile the human journey truly is. This hadith removes fear of uncertainty. The unknown becomes less frightening when you trust Allah's care. The believer accepts that not knowing everything is part of faith. This hadith teaches that Allah does not require you to understand everything. He requires you to trust Him. That trust brings courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. Faith becomes light in uncertainty. This hadith also reshapes how believers view success. Success is no longer defined by wealth or status, but by closeness to Allah. A believer may have little but feel rich in peace. This hadith frees the believer from chasing endless comparison. Life becomes simpler when success is defined spiritually. The believer focuses on sincerity rather than applause, knowing that Allah's reward is far greater. This hadith protects the believer from despair. Despair whispers that things will never change. Faith answers that Allah can change anything instantly. The believer holds on to hope even when circumstances look impossible. This hadith teaches that despair is not allowed in faith because Allah's power has no limits. Hope becomes an act of worship, keeping the heart alive during dark times. This hadith also prepares the believer for moments of loneliness. When people walk away, Allah remains. Loneliness becomes less painful when the believer feels Allah's presence. This hadith teaches that solitude can be a place of connection, not emptiness. The believer learns to speak to Allah in silence, finding comfort where others feel isolation. This hadith builds long-term strength. Faith is not built overnight. It grows through repeated tests. Each difficulty adds a layer of resilience. The believer becomes stronger, calmer, and wiser over time. This hadith teaches that Allah shapes strong believers through experience, not ease. Strength is born through patience and trust combined. This hadith also teaches forgiveness. When you accept Allah's decree, anger toward people reduces. You realize that no one can harm you without Allah's permission. This understanding frees the heart from holding grudges. Forgiveness becomes easier when faith is strong. The believer forgives not because others deserve it, but because Allah loves forgiveness. So remember, my dear brother or sister, the believer's life is always good even when it hurts. Goodness may come as comfort or as growth, as ease or as endurance. Allah never wastes a believer's pain. Trust Him in every state, gratitude in ease, patience in hardship. When faith leads your heart, every moment becomes meaningful and every outcome becomes good in the sight of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.